Now, meanwhile, while the world's focus is on the Israel-Iran war, the killing continues in Gaza. According to the territory's civil defense agency, more than 70 killed just this Thursday alone, including 21 near food distribution points where there have been near daily scenes of bloodshed since Israel and a U.S.-backed scheme to bypass the UN for food aid deliveries. Well, for more, let's cross to Shayna Lowe, who is a communications advisor for the Norwegian Refugee Council. Thank you for speaking with us from Amman, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, tell us what the Norwegian Refugee Council, what its presence is in the Gaza Strip today, and what its people in the field have seen.
We've been present in Gaza for over 15 years, and our response scaled up tremendously, of course, after October 7th and in the months ensuing. But now our response is at nearly a standstill because no aid has gotten in, or very little aid has gotten in, since March 2nd, before March 2nd, when Israel imposed a total siege. Since then, the UN has been able to bring in some flour, some medical supplies, and some materials needed to treat malnutrition. But we are continuing to provide clean drinking water daily to tens of thousands of Palestinians throughout the Gaza Strip. But that too might be coming to a close as no fuel has entered in over 100 days, and fuel supplies are rapidly dwindling, and those are needed not only to fuel desalination plants as well as water trucks and water wells, but basically the entire humanitarian response. Telecommunications will go down, hospitals will collapse, bakeries will stop operating. We are really at a point of catastrophe, given that we are very limited in the amount of aid that we have. We ran out of stocks weeks ago and have not been able to bring them through, despite hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of aid sitting in Egypt and Jordan just waiting to cross into Gaza.
And has your staff been able to corroborate these daily reports coming from the territory of killings near food distribution points?
Yes, our colleagues have been hearing about these. They are not near the distribution points, but they know what is going on. They know that it is extremely dangerous and that people are really being forced to choose between trying to feed their families and risking death. It's not surprising what we have seen happening since the GHF began its operations a couple of weeks ago, but we are, and our staff are, incredibly disturbed seeing that day after day as hungry people are going to seek the limited food that is being distributed by the GHF, that they are being killed and injured in the process.
The GHF, this Israel and U.S.-backed organization that's suddenly appeared. What are Israeli authorities telling you as far as the fact that the regular channels for distributing aid are not getting through?
Well, the Israelis have made it clear that they intend to continue to block the UN and traditional humanitarian actors from being able to do the work that we do. We've seen signs, of course, that they want to continue with working with the GHF, and really, it's not surprising to us, given that we are working to help support life in Gaza. And what we've seen over the last 20 months is every effort to quash human life and society in Gaza through the destruction of critical infrastructure, through the destruction and collapse of the medical system, and now through impeding the entry, despite Israel's obligations under international law, to allow and facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid.
And there was this 5-day period where telephone and internet was cut. Any word on why?
Well, the communications lines appeared to have been struck by Israeli forces, and then it took several days in order for the Israelis to agree to allow the coordination for repairs to be made. We are still, while internet service has resumed in northern Gaza, we are still struggling daily to reach our teams in the central and southern parts of Gaza, also obviously hampering the ability for us to respond to ensure that the programming that we're continuing to do, particularly the water trucking, is going ahead as planned.
Is this part of a deliberate policy, is what people are wondering? Is it, what is the calculus here?
Well, it's not for me to say what the Israeli plans are in terms of and why, what their intentions are, but obviously it's having grave ramifications on the ground, not just for our operations, but also to get ambulances and emergency teams to respond where there are strikes. People who hear strikes near them do not know where they are coming from. If Israel is issuing relocation directives or displacement orders, as they've done dozens of times since March 18th, and dozens more times since October 7th, people are unaware if they're being issued. They're unaware if they are currently living in places where they are being told to flee from. It's really creating a tremendous amount of difficulties and will essentially bring life to a stop as people are freezing in place and unable to coordinate moving and the humanitarian response.
Shanilo, you mentioned relocation orders. You've put out a statement flagging, what is it, something like 83% of the population of Gaza is either displaced or living in shelters or on the move?
Well, 1.9 million Palestinians have been displaced since the onset of hostilities in October of 2023. Just since Israel broke the ceasefire in March, over 680,000 Palestinians have been redisplaced. For many of them, this is the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th time that they have been forced to flee. These people are showing up at displacement centers in what is about 17% of the Gaza Strip that is not under military displacement orders or military no-go zones. And so they are showing up empty-handed without any tents or other shelter supplies. There are over 49,000 tents waiting to enter Gaza, and not a single tent or shelter supply has entered Gaza since before March 2nd. We are really struggling to support people as they continue to be displaced, as they continue to look for safe places for them and their families to sleep. But Israel continues to block and prevent any shelter materials from entering, despite the fact that not only has the Norwegian Refugee Council, but all of the organizations that work through the UN system distributing shelter materials, we are all out of stocks.
I want to thank you so much for being with us there from Amman, Jordan. Shina Low, thanks for joining us here on France 24.
Thank you.